How did you get over suicidal thoughts? Serious.
Small disclaimer: this is not an inspirational or a life-changing thing, but actually Pokemon is the reason why I'm still here today. Growing up, I never had that many close friends that I could trust, so when hard times came I had no one to really go to because my mom always worked and my brother was in college. There was once a time in high school where I almost actually took my life, but so many emotions was flowing through my mind that I didn't know what to do anymore, so I took a breather and found my old Game Boy Advanced in my room with a copy of an unfinished Pokemon Emerald. I ended up playing for about a few hours to get my mind clear, and eventually it just became a ritual for me that every day I would come home and play Pokemon. Even now, 6 years later, I come home from work and I just spend my time playing Pokemon because I know at least I'll have something to look forward to when I come home. Dr. Pokemon kept me from taking my life and gave me something to look forward to every day. Get over? Is there such a thing? I just learned to live with it and put myself in a situation where ending my life is more or less out of the question. The thought is still there, has been for more than 15 years, but my kids and my wife seem to need me around nowadays. Or at least I know their lives would be worse if I jumped, and so I just continue to walk the earth. TLDR, wife and kids seem to like me. I stay around for their sake. I haven't. I have them every day. Immediately when I wake up. But, I haven't attempted in 9 years. Why? I argue with myself. Every day. For the past 9 years. It is a simple argument. Suicidal me has to convince logical me that suicide is the only, most appropriate logical conclusion. 9 years. 2 breakups, 1 really, really hard. Pulling a parent of life support, duping out of college to handle affairs, being broke, being really broke, currently broke, lonely, and nearly homeless. I still always find a flaw in the logic. Sometimes before I shower, sometimes after coffee. Sometimes I fall asleep before the argument is over, so I have to start over the next morning. My therapist found it amazing when I told her. She says that I have effectively found a way to separately operate my emotive and logical reasoning centers. All I know is, I'm still alive and bipolar hasn't beaten me yet. Although, I didn't know why I took the time to type this, the thread is old enough it'll clearly be buried. Skeptical. Guess I just wanted to explain myself anonymously. Meds. I didn't, I'm just better prepared for when they happen. Also, I promised myself I won't act on them until I'm 70, that way I'm around for a few more decades instead of indefinitely, unless the powers that be decide my time is up before then. I've never been suicidal, but I'm prone to manic/depressive behavior which has taken me to some dark places. 2 things give me strength in those times. Number 1, no matter how much you doubt it, your death would absolutely destroy someone else that loves you. I don't feel entitled to pass along that kind of anguish. Number 2, it will get better. I don't know what tomorrow will bring, but it will eventually get better. On top of that, I know I can handle the pain of life. I genuinely don't know anything about death, so better the devil you know than the one you don't know. Removed. Deleted. As someone else said, I didn't really. What I did do was learn to cope with them. I also learned how huge a role your environment can play on how your depression manifests itself. When I realized how toxic the environment I was, be it location, friends, etc., I made the necessary changes. I feel so much happier, and the sad aspect of depression has become very almost unnoticeable. What remains are the more physical aspects of depression and the psychological aspects regarding motivation. If you haven't already, seek professional help. Don't be afraid to shop around either. I saw 2 therapists and they were both shit. And try meds. No one is asking you to make a huge commitment. Just try them. They take 4 weeks to kick in. Little commitments can go a very long way. I met someone who changed my life. It was and still is a I don't wanna do this to my parents and hurt them situation. So Gotta stay alive and manage life somehow. Thanks for all the replies. They are a lot. I try to reply to as many as possible, but just so you know, I read every single one of them. All of you, feel hugged. Deleted. Suicide eliminates the chance of life getting any better. It's a cliché-ish quote, but it helped me. Suicidal thoughts still pop up in my life, I'd say 1 to 3 times a month. I remind myself that my dog would be left without a mama. Whether or not he truly needs me, or even would miss me, I made a commitment to him that I cannot break. I remind myself/imagine that my mom and dad would be heartbroken, and blame themselves for not protecting me enough, since my childhood wasn't ideal. To prevent these impulses, I refuse to own a gun, or have any lethal medication in my house. The thoughts happen so fast, a gun could set the decision in stone within seconds. I think as long as I keep all of this in mind, I probably won't kill myself. I've more just been depressed, but even though it is not something I would say to someone else, it weirdly helped to tell myself to just have a stiff upper lip and keep moving forward. Man up, figuratively, be super positive and remind myself not to be an idiot. Like stuff I wouldn't say to somebody else, but it really helped me. That and thinking of my grandpa in World War II and how when asked if he was scared going into battle, he very casually said no like it was nothing. I think about him and what he would expect of me. You could think of that too. Not for everyone, but I tried pot for the first time and it at least temporarily helped until I could get professional help. Again, not for everyone, but it helped me. Most of the time my suicidal ideation hits, I just have to stop and sit. I can't do anything and I usually just feel numb. Sometimes I'll call a hotline, others I'll just sit the storm out. Edit, haha, it doesn't matter how much I think about suicide. I'm still the fucking coward who couldn't do it. I'll never be able to pull the trigger or take the pills or whatever. I'm just a big fucking coward. Couldn't do it once, can't do it now. I may not be able to kill myself, but I sure as shit can make myself feel the pain that I deserve. I'm currently in the process of trying my best to crawl out of this deep hole my depression has me in, and whenever I had / of suicidal thoughts, thinking about the impact me killing myself would have on my family, especially my mother, is what always makes me snap out of it and realize I would be doing something very selfish if I were to ever go through with it. I always try to remember that someone has to find me. And I wouldn't want anyone to have to go through that and live with that traumatizing image in the back of their mind for the rest of their life just because I chose the easy way out. Not really sure. I think having something else besides family to live for. I never really got over them, it's more I learned to cope with them. It's more remembering there's people that love you who are still going to be alive after you end your life, that I would assume you wouldn't want to hurt. Even if time stopped for me, I know my fiancé and best friend would be hurt to an extreme, and that isn't something I like thinking about. Other times I distract myself, video games, talking to people, fiancé, best friend, maybe even some random online, playing the piano, watching videos, preferably ones you've seen before and know are free of triggers for you, etc. Have been depressed for almost my entire life. Never stop wishing for dying. But never get any actions, guess I am just too lazy to dead. Turtles are great. I hope I can articulate this moment that meant so much to me. I was in a bad place, making bad decisions and everything felt impossible. I was looking at a waterfall and imagined jumping from the top. I'm a stupidly romantic person, so having those thoughts while in front of such a beautiful view was a very low point. Then it occurred to me. If I'm in a place where suicide feels like the only option, doesn't that free me a bit? I mean, there is something about being in such a low spot that could be freeing. Saving myself is worth making choices I was scared to make. If death is the only other choice. Do something that makes you, and only you, happy. Aside from everything in your life, just find one thing, if you're lucky, several things, that makes you happy when you're doing it. Art, working out, coding, singing really fucking loudly when you drive, cooking, redditing, anything. Do it for you. Also, meds and a good therapist who can't tell anyone else about your discussions so you can get all of the bad shit out without repercussions in your relationships.